When we work with system innovation around textiles in Sweden, me and my colleagues, we try to work in a system-wise, in a system innovations way. And we try to include all 5 dimensions of this innovation process. Then we work, of course, with technology. We work with business models, as mentioned in the first part. We work on policies and behavior, culture, and values, which is an important thing regarding customers, of course, and inhabitants, but also the different decisions made by, for example, companies. And as the last dimension, we also work on industrial infrastructure. And this is a big challenge at the moment when we try to circulate the textile, that the industrial infrastructure is not there yet. As you all are well aware of, there is a mandatory separate collection of textile waste across the EU from this year. And in Sweden, we actually had a proposal already in 2020 regarding a complete legislative proposal for a collection system and producer responsibility system. I was working on that then, but no political decisions were made then. And that is the reason where there was a bit of a gap, you can say. And when we finally got the new law on textile waste collection in 2025, this was assigned to the municipalities, but without the EPR up and running. And this has caused some problems. So one thing to give us an advice, try to keep them together to avoid that gap, because that was quite complicated. You don't have the fee from the EPR system running, and that made, and also, like mentioned before, it's not that predictable, because we don't know exactly how the EPR, the national scheme, will look like yet. And that caused some uncertainty. And that is not very good for the market when we are trying to make this running. The decision on producer responsibility is, as you are all aware of, is now done within the EU, but it is to be followed by national schemes in every member state. And in Sweden, the Swedish government right now is working very intensively on developing this national scheme. And a special assignment has been given to the Swedish Environmental Protection Agency to prepare this. And there is actually a national conference on this topic tomorrow morning, very early. So it's close now that we will have an EPR scheme. Some key points from my side after working on this some years now at the University of Borås is that reuse is, of course, essential, both as preventive measure and in the handling of textile waste. But as a society, we must also manage the textiles that cannot be reused through material recycling. And sometimes we don't talk enough about that, I think, because this is not happened all by itself. It needs investments, it needs customers, and so on and so on. And there is also a whole range of different activities going on when we speak about recycling. We often refer to the waste management hierarchy, and on top of that, except reuse, which is an important thing, of course. Then within this recycling scope, you have remanufacturing, different activities where you throw, for example, reconditioning textiles, can put them on the market again without the whole process, fiber to fiber process, for example. So remanufacturing, important, mechanical and chemical fiber recycling, use of rags, biochar, and so on and so on. And this is a whole new market with a lot of opportunities, but it's still not profitable for many actors. And that is a big challenge. And we need to address that together. It's not a single man's work. And we have not solved it yet in Sweden either. So we are very humble. We are working on it. So as mentioned, this is an exchange. So we listen very carefully to your experiences as well. So one thing I would like to point out is this, that reuse is so important, but the material recycling, those streams, the flows, must be addressed, must have their investment, must have their customers if we are talking about the circular economy, and if we really want to try to reduce incineration, because otherwise we will have a nice part reused, and the most of the textile waste will be actually incinerated. That's a fact. So the profitability today lies mainly in reuse on the market. No sorting actor currently, as I know, maybe you have some example, but as we know it, no sorting actor can currently achieve profitability from material recycling alone. They need the reuse part because that gives the highest value on the market at the moment, even though the market is a bit hush at the moment. But and there must be a demand for the collected and sorted textile to circular textile waste. So when we organize the collection systems, we must be aware of that. If the actors today, they need both the stream with reuse and for material recycling to get the profit, the business running. And this is causing a bit of struggle among the Swedish municipalities today, because we heavily depend on the NGOs, the social enterprises, and they are doing such a great job, but they are not experts in textile waste management. So you need the new system in Sweden need to both to find somehow a coexistence between the NGOs and the commercial actors, and we are working on it. And please tell us if you have the solution, because we are working on it, because we need them, but we also need the new businesses up and running, and those should be market-based. So I think I will stop there. And
so in Sweden here, we have created a great cluster here at the Textile Fashion Center, as you can see here on the picture. And we have put together all the textile organizations in the same place, and really working, connecting researchers and students together with companies. And the platform is really, really joyful and also very inspiring, because we also have all the different organizations working very close together. And through the Swedish School of Textiles, that is ranked of the top 10 in the world, the most interesting and best fashion schools in the world, we are also involving researchers in all levels. We have both the bachelor level, the master level, and also the doctoral levels in various areas of the textile areas, which is also very interesting to provide to the companies that we are working on. We have the full-scale labs within the Swedish School of Textiles, and also a do-tank center that we are offering to all our collaborating partners, which is also making it very easy to proceed with an idea and make a prototype and continue the innovation further on. And since 2018, we also received a government assignments where we are transferring and collaborating with as a national working collaboration with all the different textile actors in moving towards sustainable textile and fashion industry. And here we have 240 connected companies. So we have a great interest, and we're working very close together. And one project that I wanted to share with you here today, which Birgitta was a little bit highlighting, is a system demonstrator that we are working for, a textile system which is sustainable, but we are working with it outside in the real world. So we are having a lot of partners here, and as Birgitta mentioned, the interaction between the NGOs and the big local actors, as also making all the collections from the waste in the environment of the local authorities, connected to the different companies. And here we are transferring and testing this circular system where we have identified through the 5 system dimensions, we have identified 3 areas, which is the areas that is really needed to change in order to get this perfect circular system. And one which is very important is the sorting and collection systems, which needs to be much more organized and much more utilized also for where we can use the waste for. The other part is material design and how you design and produce materials. So here is also an important part where more or less 80% of a product, the environmental footprint is made from already the design decisions. So if you design in a not so optimized way, then it's very difficult to solve this problem later on in the process. And then the third part is transparency and traceability, which needs really to be covered through the whole process. And I will give some examples here. With all of these different actors, we tested different collection and sorting systems out in the industrial work, so to say. This was like done outside in the region to see how different collection methods could improve that the textiles is collected in a great way. Because textiles are very sensitive. You cannot put it in a normal bin because it will then create fungus or other things, which is not the same as all the other waste. So then it cannot be recycled. So it has to be treated in a special way. And within the project, we also launched this pre-sorting facility, because that was one thing that we saw was really, really important to really implement this part of the process in order to make it circular. So here we launched this first scale pre-sorting facility in the beginning of this year. And here we can sort materials into textiles, shoes, bags, and accessories, which is also then transferring the material from waste to a product, and it can be sold further on. And we also, this is the big facility now, and they work like 3 shifts, so they have a pile of incoming waste for them to sort. And we believe that this facility is covering around 2 million inhabitants. So in Sweden, we think and we foresee that we would need this for maybe 5 of these in Sweden. So it has to be like quite close to the different inhabitants. And we also have implemented a pilot plant where we are testing different technologies for collecting and sorting. So it can also be sorted by, for instance, different brands, because the brands in this project that we have been having here, we have different kind of brands that is testing different cases, and some of the brands which are very big, Apelor and Lindex, they are Swedish brands. They are now collecting from the collection systems, collecting their material, because they are interested in collecting their waste and then use them in this remanufacturing that Birgitta was mentioning. So here they also could treat the new material as a new instead of virgin material, but they could see it as an access into the second loop and second-hand sailing. So here they could really see a value of using their own produced material, which they also know the quality on. So here we have seen from these brands that they are very interested in collecting from their own brand, because then they know where it comes from. They could also see that they could be interested to also take in waste from another brand that they also feel trust in, that they also use good material. So in these cases, the brands are really interested in this. They are also making tests for designing for circular use from the beginning. So they are changing the methods of how they are designing. And we are also working a lot with upgrading and redesigning actions. We made a big sorting case from collected materials. Here was 5 tons collected by an NGO. And when they have been sorting it from their side, they are exporting it. They find 20% for their customers from the NGO side. And the rest, the 4 tons, they do not see any customer in Sweden. But then we brought this in, these 4 tons, and we made a second sorting, and having in mind that if we make washing the materials and you make an easy recond, which is upgrading it a little bit, making a refreshment, and also you market it in like a shop and visualize it more into this. How could a future customer be interesting for maybe an additional part of this collected material? And then we could see that additionally 20% we could see that could be used for a second loop. So here we could see even bigger interest than the NGOs saw from the beginning. So we can see that there are coming brands that are seeing this as a possibility to actually, from the collected material, which was from the beginning waste, you fresh it up a little bit, and then you could see a potential customer asking for this material again. We also testing different tools for the digital product passport, and we have also tested it by, for instance, in a case here with many different actors using different kinds of digital tools in order to see how the digital product passport could help them in their business. And one example here, we have Lindex, for instance. They have made a prototype of a digital tool in their now production collection, and where they also could see from the legislations, they need to have this information, which is on white here on this picture, but they have added this 4 blocks in black, where they can, for instance, add into the garment a lost and found tool where you can write in, and you can then trace the material. They could also add in some other interesting facts. For instance, pricing agent, where we have been working together with the company, where you can foresee how much this jacket in this example, how much it could be worth, how much it could be, what is the value of the material in the second sale. So there are some very interesting things, and as also was mentioning before, when there is a business case around this, when there are a possibility to have a good business example, then there is a complete other interest in this. So this is what I would like to share with you here today. This is my last slide, that we believe that the collected textile material is actually better than many people think. We would also see that cooperation between different actors and sectors is really necessary to bring this as a great value. And we also can see that the second value chain, where we make a remanufacturing process, it needs to be close to the consumer. Then there could be a commercial advantage. So thank you.
I won't spend too much time on this, but what I would like to say is that both from a legislation point of view and a market or implementation point of view, we have for a fairly long time, I've been working with circular textiles for 10, 15 years. And all through that time, the thing that keeps coming back as a very large problem or obstacle or challenge is the chicken and the egg dilemma. When it comes to legislation, the chicken and the egg dilemma is a part of it is that what Birgitta already mentioned, that we have legislation saying that we have to separate textile waste collected separately. but we don't have any financing for that yet, because that will come with the extended producer responsibility. So already here we have a chicken and the egg, and you could turn it around, and some of these other legislations wouldn't function very well either if we didn't have waste collection. And sorry. And it would probably have been even more challenging to try to implement all of these at the same time. So timing and connection is really something that needs to be taken into account heavily. From an industry point of view, the chicken and the egg dilemma has been, why should someone change the way they are sorting textiles? Like we already heard, the profit today is sorting for reuse. You need to sort in a different way, and you need to sort cheap for materials for recycling. But why would someone incur more cost in their operations to sort in a different way before there is someone buying that material as a feedstock for a recycling operation? On the other hand, why would someone build a plant for recycling when there is no feedstock, because no one is sorting for recycling? And that keeps, I mean, we've been struggling with this for such a long time. There are, of course, solutions, and I'm very hopeful. Don't get me wrong here. This will eventually work, but there is a fairly long way to go. I mentioned a few challenges. The financing of the waste management is very underfinanced. It's different for different countries throughout the EU, of course. But in a lot of countries, including Sweden, the waste management has been put on municipalities without added financing, and they are already struggling with their margins. So as an expert, it's a little bit, I feel a little bit bad saying that, yeah, well, you will get financing maybe in 5 years. That's okay for me to say, but that puts them in real problems in the day-to-day operations. Legislation in detail are missing. We know fairly what to expect, but we don't know the details to it. And again, that is a hindering fact, because someone launching an operation or scaling something up will be hesitant to do that before they know the details of what will come, to know if the operation they are planning will be possible or not. Even in Sweden, within the different municipalities, we see that collection and sorting is done differently. That leads to inconsistent material supply. So already there, even if there was recycling capability at large scale, the feedstock would be inconsistent, which is always, as I'm sure most of you know, a big problem for any industrial operation. Charities are feeling a lot of pressure from this transformation. They are already working at very tight margins, and they are, of course, afraid that their margins will fail, either due to the fact that they get less donations when waste is collected in a different way, or they get more waste for their to sort through for their valuable secondhand items. Yeah, there are a few others. The waste shipment regulation, I will briefly come back to that, but I would really like to go into the opportunities. But lastly, a large challenge anywhere you look at it in the textile or fashion area, the ultra fast fashion is a threat. No matter how you look at it, from a business perspective, from a safety perspective, from a quality perspective, from a value perspective, that is really a large problem that I think the EU needs to tackle. And that is also a big problem in the circular ecosystem that we need to build up. Opportunities then. Like I said, we have a fairly long way to go. There are challenges, but what we do know is that the textile waste industry will transform. That is a fact. So in one sense, we know that making the right investments and scaling up the right technologies, for instance, will be worthwhile. The question is what that will be, but the business and the industry will change. We know that. The EU, of course, is working towards reshoring and resilience that are high EU priorities also for textiles. And yeah, like I said, if you take the right proactive measures sort of ahead of the pack, you could place yourself in the forefront. So I was thinking, and I will say that I'm definitely not an expert in Romania or even the Romanian textile industry, but thinking a little bit about what I see could be opportunities from a Romanian point of view, or this is an advice. Birgitta already said that. Make sure that collection and sorting is aligned so that you don't fall into the pitfall of inconsistent qualities or material flow. So whatever you decide to do, make sure that you do it in the same way all over the country, and preferably similar to neighboring countries or one of the big EU economies. There will be a chance for, I mean, we will need circular textile hubs in Europe, and even though the highest value reuse fractions will come from high wage countries, there will be needed a lot of operations that will be dependent on wage cost. So for countries that have lower or competitive labor costs, there is, as I see it, a good chance to establish something at the forefront which could serve the whole of the EU for circular textiles. I have a few details here, but I know we're running behind schedule, and I don't want to take up more time